This episode is brought to you by the Neon Nail Company. Welcome in to the 13th episode of the Market Like a Millennial podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Itnyre, and today, folks, we have a conversation for you. And believe it or not, this conversation was actually sparked by the TikTok and Instagram lives that I've been having pretty much every single day. One day I was on Instagram and this guy was just hitting me with question after question, and I got on a rant about how it's so important and vital to your success over time to consistently audit yourself as a roofing company. Because what you have to understand is not everything will be perfect forever, right? Even if you just started your roofing company, maybe you got a hit with a hailstorm 2-3 years in a row, and you guys are just rolling in the dough doing $8 to $10 million a year. At some point in time, things will change. Maybe the market will dry up, right? All the roofs will be done, and then it becomes a retail scenario. Most importantly, what I'm getting at here is that no matter what season you're in, whether it's a great season for you to go out and kill it and things are going well, you got to be prepared for what is next to come. What some people like Tony Robbins would call winter, right? Winter is coming. And most importantly, if you prepare for winter, right? If you're a hunter and gatherer and you go out, say back in the day, back when winter was coming, people weren't just sitting around saying, hey, we're doomed when winter hits. People actually went out, gathered food, prepared for what was to come. And you have to do the same thing with your business. This podcast is about seeing change coming and adapting to it so you can be successful in the future. But most importantly, I am going to give you the tools to audit to see if change has already happened. Change could be happening right in front of your eyes. It happens all the time in our culture, right? Depending on who you talk to today, I know this is kind of controversial to say, some people would say World War III has already started. That might sound pretty crazy. However, if you look on a global scale at the conflicts that are breaking out across the world, multiple wars going on as we speak, and we are one more major conflict away involving two or more parties in starting a full-blown conflict and a world war. And so we might already be in World War III, but it's up for debate. And a lot of people will turn a blind eye to change that's happening right in front of their face. And especially in a corporate world, in a small business world, it's easy to not see what's happening around you each and every day, be blinded by the success that you have had over the years. And the reason why is when you own a small business, period, the head of the operations usually deals with most of the stress. They are involved in every single decision that's being made, right? They are in charge of production scheduling and taking care of problems, putting out fires to maintain a great reputation. And a lot of times that leaves them blind to the situations that are coming and going around them and the change that is afoot. And so they'll usually bury their heads in the sand and just go through day-to-day operations and these problems that are going on, whether it's someone leaving the company or someone having a kid that makes them less productive. All those things happen. And the person, the operator, is just so worried about day-to-day operations that by the time that these issues get brought up or addressed, it's usually months down the road, and they're much bigger problems, much bigger situations to deal with. A lot of the times the sales guys won't speak up. They won't say anything about what's going on because they understand the responsibilities of the operator. However, at some point, everything has to come to a head. A lot of times, if you're able to catch those problems and address them as you go, right? Audit your business every single quarter and say, hey, what are we doing right? What are we doing wrong? What can we do to get better? Then ultimately, when you get the feedback from your sales reps, you can put out a lot of fires when they're much smaller, much more easier to control, and it won't do any damage to your company. Often we talk about developing diehard fans of your company, right? For business, customers, people coming in the door. By the time you are finished with them, you want them to be a diehard fan. But the most important fans, your biggest fans, should be the people that work for you. And when you lead with empathy, when you lead with compassion, that develops a respect for you as an operator. And so being able to sit there and have the conversations with these sales reps and go through and say, okay, I can't help this person here, here, and here, but I can solve this one problem for them. That will develop a respect that's unmatched. And during hard times, when most people would leave, those individuals will look back on that one favor that you did for them and say, well, man, this guy went to bat for me here. Now, let's get real about this. If you guys are old school, or say you guys might even have a large operation, you have 20 sales guys that you're keeping up with all the time. I don't know how you guys do it. However, you might be saying, Andrew, I'm not going to go through 20 sheets of paper and address every single issue that every single sales guy is having. And I completely understand where you're coming from. However, what you can do is you can read every single paper, and you can find the commonalities, the common issues that people in your organization are having, whether it's with the way people are conducting themselves, the way people are operating, how they're dealing with insurance companies. Maybe they have kids. You have a couple people on staff that recently had babies. Their numbers dropped, right? Well, how do we fix that? How about we incentivize them to do well, right? To do well. And so let's say something fair, like $80,000 a month, right? And if they can sell $80,000 a month, you'll pay for their kids to go to daycare, whatever the case is. Help them out a little bit. Find the commonalities, especially when it comes to sales guys. You got to understand when they come into your organization, they might be young, but as they get older, as they progress in their life, they're going to meet someone, they're going to have kids, they're going to have to go to baseball games. They have these other things that pop up. And you have to be understanding of that as an owner and be able to help them still be successful because it's in your best interest. Now, to me, dealing with the small things, and particularly what the sales guys are dealing with on an individual basis, is one of the toughest things that you'll have to do. The other thing, going back to commonalities that you find when it comes to issues that people are having, if it's something that's a system or procedure, that's a much easier riddle to solve over the course of 4 to 5 to 6 months, right? And what's most important about that is that you actually address the feedback that you're getting, the negative feedback that you're getting from people, and making their lives better. Because the worst thing you can do is do exactly what I'm telling you to do. Audit your company and say, hey, tell me what's right. Tell me what we're doing great. Tell me what we're doing wrong. Tell me what your biggest issues are with my company and how I can make it better, right? And then you do nothing with what they give you, and they realize, hey, this guy just wasted our time. He didn't address a single thing. It's been 6 months, and we're still in the same positions dealing with the same problems that we were dealing with 6 months ago. And that's going to lead to a whole another level of resentment that they have. And so it's important that if you open up this can of worms, right, if you do these audits, that you say to yourself as an owner, I am going to address these issues within the next 5 to 6 months, right? These core systems and processes issues, they're my full control to address. And I am going to make it happen for my team. And if you go in with that mentality, your company will run much more smoothly. Because if you find out the common issues, it could be something as far as we actually just did this recently. And one of my biggest issues was dealing with insurance companies. They got much more difficult when it comes to getting them to approve a roof, right? All of a sudden, the arguments that were working 4 or 5 months ago are no longer working anymore. Now, I'm not even getting responses or rebuttals from them. They just simply tell the homeowner, hey, go ahead and file a complaint with the insurance commission and see what they can do about it. We're not approving this roof, even though you have 70 missing shingles, right? And so that has been a sore point for me, as well as other sales guys at the company. So we devised a plan. We're going to set up a system where we try for a month and a half on our own, try every little argument on why a roof needs to be replaced rather than repaired. And if it doesn't work within that month and a half, it goes straight to appraisal, right? We explain the appraisal process. We let the homeowner know how much money it's going to be up front. And almost every time we take it to appraisal, it gets approved. And we even talked about making that the standard procedure with certain insurance companies. But to be able to have that conversation and say, okay, well, let's look at the totality of this issue, right? For me, my biggest issue is I want to find out how we actually do it, right? If these arguments are no longer working anymore, what do we have to prove to get this roof replaced? And the facts are that these companies just don't want to replace the roofs. So instead of arguing about it, let's just come up with a streamlined system that gets the homeowners results quicker, gets them the new roofs that they want. And most importantly, you're not wasting your time going back and forth. And so that's a route that we're pursuing now across the board. And that's a simple system and process that we put into place by just talking it out among sales guys. Now let's have some fun and do one more example for you guys. One of the common issues that I see with roofing companies across the nation is that you'll have one guy at a roofing company, a sales representative, that has a specific trait or value or is just anointed the favorite of the company and will get all the leads into the office, right? And he'll be able to cherry pick the leads, give away the ones that he doesn't necessarily want, or he'll just keep all of them to himself. Whatever the process is, it ultimately leads to him getting all the leads into the office. I don't know how it's justified. I think it's important to understand as an owner of a company, you have people out there putting out content for people to see you each and every day in the field, digitally, whatever the case is. The lead rotation is important. Having a system when that person calls in that you vet the lead properly. And if there's no source for the lead that is described, it goes to the next person in the lead rotation. That keeps it fair, honest, and that way everyone that's putting the work in, they will get a lead at some point within the week or 2 weeks, and it keeps them busy, right? That's the importance of a lead rotation. No matter their closing percentage, no matter whatever the case is, it's a fair operation across the board. Now, the benefits of having a lead rotation is one, you can vet the leads as they come in and you'll see where they're coming from. You'll also know how many leads are coming in a month and who the leads are going to, right? And you can see the quality of service each and every sales representative at your company is providing. How you see that is you look at the number of leads that were given to them and you look at their closing percentage, right? If their closing percentage is low, why is it low, right? Maybe we sit down and we go through what is happening in the home, right? Go through their sales presentation, their values that they're putting out to the customer and seeing where they're going wrong. And ultimately be able to work with that guy to make him better at closing. So that way you get another elite sales representative. It's important to understand that, hey, listen, yes, he might be closing at a lower rate than everyone else. However, he's still a person within your company that can generate business and develop as a roofing salesman. So it's important to put time into making each and every one of your sales representative as efficient as possible when it comes to the sales process. And so if you do that with 5 or 6 people, even if one leaves, maybe he goes starts his own roofing company, which seems to be the trend, right? Then you have someone ready to step up and take his place, right? He might not be as good, but he can develop into a great leader within your organization. The more time you spend with people, finding out their goals, how they are viewing themselves in the local community, right? Are they going to BNIs? Are they going to fundraisers, different things that will build their brand locally? And the more time you spend with someone, you're not only going to make them more productive, but the more and more that person will look at you as a person that is there for them, that genuinely cares about their success, and that has helped develop them, right? That makes you an asset to them. And so that's the importance of a lead rotation, something as simple as that. And I understand the urge to say, well, I want to give it to this guy because I understand that he's going to go out and close. What happens if that guy leaves tomorrow? Then you're stuck with 4 to 5 other people that are not your all-stars, right? But if you would have put time into them, they could have been built into your all-stars. If you haven't seen why this was such a popular topic and why we went on and on through the TikTok and Instagram lives that we did this week on this topic, it's because you can take it so many different ways and improve your company. Let's talk about what people say we are doing right. Look at the commonalities once again. Hopefully there's more than 5. It would be awesome if there's more than 5, because that means that you're doing several things right. And when you analyze it, you'll be able to look at talking points that you should be bringing up inside the home as a sales representative, right? So maybe that guy who I was talking about struggled with closing leads. Now you have 3 to 4 different points that they can bring up inside of the house and deliver with passion that it's undoubtedly your best traits that you offer as a company. And they can say that with confidence because you're doing it, whether it's on each and every job or it's the process in place that is like none other anywhere else. And most importantly, that gives them the ability and talking points to say that with confidence and hopefully close more jobs for you. You can't bring up the good things without talking about marketing, which is my favorite angle, right? Now that we have a consensus of what the company believes that we do right, what we do better than anyone else in town. Now my guys have talking points at the door when they're trying to get someone to agree to an inspection going door to door. When we talk about documenting in a digital form, now we know what we need to talk about in our videos. We know the processes that we should be documenting around each and every day that's unique and different from every other roofing company in town. And most importantly, is going to let you know what you need to never change about your company, which I think I already talked about. But you should never compromise on the things that make you great. And I honestly mean that. And what you find is when roofing companies start to fail is because they start sacrificing. They start giving away things that once made them great. Maybe people retire. Whatever the case is, it all of a sudden becomes a part that's missing, that the sales guy can no longer have faith in that we're accomplishing or doing. We want to avoid those situations by identifying them as soon as possible. Listen, I get it. We have 2 completely different operators listening to this podcast right now. One is pumped up about what we talked about here today, has listened to, taken notes probably, and he's ready to go into the office tomorrow and open up that can of worms, even if everything's going fine, because he wants to know what he's doing right, what he's doing wrong, and how he can make his sales reps' lives easier. And guarantee you that guy is killing it. The other operator is sitting there saying that I don't get it, making excuses for why things are going wrong and that they're out of your hands. What I have to say to you, which is not much, is quit being a facilitator and start being a leader, because that's what you signed up for as a operator. You signed up for understanding what makes your sales guys tick and what makes them the best version of their selves to represent your company. The core values that you should have within your organization should be carried out each and every day to the best of their abilities. And that goes for productions as well. Is what is going on in the field making you proud to run your roofing company? Or are you just trying to get by? That's what you need to ask yourself here today. And most importantly, check your ego at the front door when you walk into work tomorrow. Understand that the more successful your guys are within your company, the more money you make. Look at it from an egotistical standpoint. If you have to do that, look at it out of greed, but ultimately make the changes before you go out of business. And if it's a revolving door, if it's an absolute, excuse my language, but shit show, you need to make some drastic changes very quickly and get things on the right path for you and the people that you're responsible for, which are the people that work for you. Much love to all you guys. Thank you for watching the Market Like a Millennial podcast. I'm not trying to hurt anyone's feelings here. I'm just trying to make people better. I'm trying to make companies better. I'm trying to make the people within the organization better. And I hear this complaint all the time. I see people leave companies all the time due to poor leadership. And so most importantly, if you're hearing this message, if it resonated with you, if you're a sales representative, share it with your owner. I'll be the bad guy. But most importantly, I want to make sure that you're successful at every point, whether you're an owner or a sales representative. So thank you guys for being here. Hope you enjoyed this podcast. Let me know what you think about it in the comments below. I'm thinking about taking the questions live or the thoughts live on TikTok and Instagram. We have the audits, Instagram audits that are coming back this Thursday at 4 o'clock. And most importantly, I want to facilitate a place where you guys can learn, where you guys can grow as sales representatives, owners, and operators. And I appreciate you guys sharing with me constant love. The amount of views that our videos are getting on social media, it just seems to grow and grow, and it means the world to me. So this is for you guys. And thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the Market Like a Millennial podcast. I'm your host, Andrew Itnyre. Until next time, I'll see you later.